Hello everybody, this is TechHut. It is December, therefore, it's Christmas. A company called XMCOSY sent over a bunch of their stuff, and at first I was going to say no, but I did some research on it, and there is a probability that I'm going to be able to get these working with Home Assistant, which is cool. There will be timestamps down below so you can kind of skip through the sections if you want to. I'm first going to introduce the products that I have and kind of go through a really basic setup in their app. And then later on in this video, we're going to go over actually getting these working with Home Assistant, which at first, it did look like that I would only be able to do this with an internet connection and still kind of ping up to the cloud. But there is a way to do this without having to ping to the cloud, which is a requirement for my kind of Home Assistant setup. So hopefully, I haven't tested it. Hopefully we can get it to work. If you're seeing this video, it was at least moderately successful. So first, you can see some of them behind us, and this is kind of the star of the show for this video, is these guys. This is the Smart RGB CW acrylic string lights. This kind of has that kind of Christmassy aesthetic. And you'll see within their app and hopefully within Home Assistant, we'll be able to set up various patterns and all this kind of cool stuff based on the theme that you want, based on the holiday. It should be cool. I got 2 packs of these. These are both 96 feet, so I should be able to do the whole front of my house. 30 bulbs on these guys. The cords are thick. The actual kind of acrylic is nice. It seems like pretty decent quality. And I believe I can daisy chain these together, which is super cool. The unboxing really isn't much of a pretty process. It's a box full of wires. So I'll whip that open when I actually want to. Additionally, they sent over a single pack of this. This is another 98 footer. This one's 30 bulbs. These are more of a globe style LED light or LED bulb. These do communicate over a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network. You can set each light bulb color. You can control the lights in their app, of course, and maybe Home Assistant. And probably only in their app you can sync music via your phone's mic, which is cool. DYI dynamic lighting with multiple preset scenes for holiday, party, and events. And they also sent this over. This is a 2-pack smart wall light. Oh, this way. I might not set this up today. I might do this as a separate short because I don't feel like doing electrical work at the moment. But you can see this is what they look like. They're nice, flush, pretty modern. See some of the LEDs there on the bottom for the shining up and down. So I am excited to check these out as well. So you can probably see I already have one of the string lights set up, and what I'm gonna do real quick is just show you their app, because if I just skipped to what I'm actually gonna be doing, it wouldn't be fair to them. So this right here is the XMCOSY app, and you can see at the moment I have no devices on here. I'm just gonna hit add a device. This is going to be the first one right here, this string light. And it's already plugged in. Reset the device, and that's pretty simple. There's a button on this box back here. You just hold it down until it starts flashing like so, and there it goes. So I am going to go through here real quick. It walks you through all the steps and everything like that. So if I go next, I'm currently connected to my IoT network, which is where I want those lights to be. I already got my password filled out there, so I'm going to go next, and there we go. It's added, and now it's going to connect, and you can see it change back there just to a solid white. So here in the app, I was kind of playing around with it. I did some customizations and tested it out. Now, here we have a row of all of our different bulbs. I believe this one right here, yeah, that's the one that you guys can see pretty well. So if I select that bulb and I like change the color, tap it again, I could change that light specifically to whatever color I wanted. And you could go through all the lights and kind of build your own little configuration of how you want it to look. So that's a super cool feature. And if I like selected red, I go boom, 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 and then select a different color, go through, select a different one, go through, and really customize it exactly how I want it through here. Additionally, they do have scenes. So if I go over here, I created a little temp scene. So if I do that, you can kind of see what I had going on there. And if I edit it, you can see some of the options. Oh, not that way. If I tap there we go. Tap the DYI, you can edit it. So we have options for the effect. So I could change it to like a graduation. I'm not sure what a lot of these effects are, so you're gonna have to go through and figure it out. We could change the speed. We could change the colors. So if I wanted a green in there, I would just go like that, hit save, and then you could see it's a chase effect with all the different colors that I selected. And let's confirm that. There we go. And of course they have a bunch of like pre-made ones. So we have scenery, life, festival. So if I selected like Christmas, this is what they do for Christmas. It's not what I would personally use, but we have like Thanksgiving, Halloween, which fades between all the various Halloween colors, forest, day, bunch of stuff. We have mood, so dreamland. If I go scenery and I do like willows, some pretty cool things here. And I should be able to get at least some of this into Home Assistant later. If I go to music, you can use your phone's microphone to kind of sync it up that way. So if I, for example, just do rhythm, now it is detecting my voice and switching depending on that. So, 'tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. It works okay. It would be much better if you didn't use the mic and you kind of like piped it through and it could like detect the audio on something else, but to each their own. You have timers, all that, pretty basic stuff. So their app is pretty cool, especially if you don't want to go through the whole pain of setting up Home Assistant and all that. Or honestly, what I'm doing is completely unnecessary. I'm trying to avoid using the cloud and using an app that's not Home Assistant. So now what I'm going to try doing is actually that. So I'm going to switch the camera around and kind of talk about the process of how that is done and the sources that I've used. All right, so after a very late night and a bunch of tinkering around, I believe I finally got it working at least to kind of my bare minimum specifications in Home Assistant. And that is, of course, kind of static single color control, all the colors, color temperature, brightness, all that, as well as being able to add the scenes that we find in the app or create your own scenes. So, it was an effort. Now we checked out the app, but the actual backing technology is from this right here. This is Tuya, I think is how you say it. Other companies, if they want their own app, they pay like a licensing fee to these guys to use it. And all these devices work in this application as well because it's the backing technology. And putting it in this app allows us access to the developer platform portal and the API. And the main reason we need the API is because we need our local keys. These devices are controllable locally, but you do need some information from them, which is only accessible through their cloud platform. But once you have those keys, you technically don't need this anymore. The app here is basically identical to the one that we were just in. The whole, let's focus up. So I got this app, put all the devices on here, gave them pretty names and all that. Additionally, I went through and made sure to kind of assign them IP addresses for my own organizational sake, and I organized them by the material of the bulb and the quantity of the bulbs, or the style right here. And I went ahead and deleted all my stuff that I did to test it out so I can start from scratch to show you guys the entire process. And don't you fret, I wrote everything down right here and I will continue to add to this as time goes on, as I discover different functionality, things like that. So do keep an eye on this if anything changes or I find like a better way to do things. For this, we're going to be using an application called LocalTuya, I believe. The whole local part allows us to get those local keys and connect to the devices with IP addresses instead of relying on the cloud platform, which if you don't care, you could just use the non-local application and set it up that way, but that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm here for. I found a couple different like guides. This was one that I was really hoping would work, but it's a little outdated, so it did not work with my devices, but it's a really good one to kind of skim over, gives you a good explanation, and if you have older string lights, it might work for you. And the original LocalTuya app did not work. We have to use this fork right here. You can see it was literally updated 2 days ago. The developer is super responsive. Shout out to you. You are awesome. But this version has the most updated protocols, which was required for these lights. Took me a minute to figure that out. If I knew that from the get-go, this video definitely would be out sooner. So enough rambling and explaining. We are going to get going with the process. And the very first thing, we're going to install and set up this fork. So all you do, you're going to need hacks. I'm not going to go into how to get that, but right here, hacks. The LocalTuya app that's here by default is not the one we want. So you're going to have to click right here and add a custom repository, which is going to be that GitHub page. You can see my custom repository right here. And this right here is the one we want. Currently has just under 500 stars, last updated 2 days ago. So let's give this a click on download, and you can pick the version here, but I'm just gonna get the latest version. So then we could go and head over to settings and restart Home Assistant so we can load that integration. And while that kind of loads, one thing you're gonna want to do is go over to their developer platform. It's just platform.tuya.com. Create an account, it's free, up to 2 projects, I believe. And from here, we're going to want to create a project. So I'm going to click on Create Cloud Project. This is going to be my CASA. And I'm going to delete this and redo this later so I don't have to go through and blur all my tokens. Don't try to use my tokens, you're going to waste your time. But for here, we're going to go industry, we're going to select smart home. Deployment method is also going to be smart home, and data center, just pick the one that's closest to you. So I'm going to go Western American and then click on create. From here, we have our service APIs. So we're going to want to add, you technically could probably add all of them. So like, I don't really need that, but I'll add it. The main one, we want the device log query. That's very important. And I believe that's it. So definitely add the device log query and then click on authorize. The device log query is one way to get those local keys, but if everything goes well, we shouldn't even need to pull those. So here we go. And now the very first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to link the account that we created on the mobile app with this developer platform. And that will make it so it can automatically see all of our devices and all that fun stuff. And to do that, we're just going to head over to devices. And then you can see here, we currently have no devices, but that's going to change as soon as we go to link app account. And then from here, go ahead and click on add app account, and you're going to get a QR code right there. Now on the app, all you do is go over to me, and then you're going to select this little scanner button here on the top. And then we get the camera, so we can point it right at the QR code, and then go ahead and tap on confirm login, and this should go away and we're good to go. So we're going to go automatic link. So let's hit OK. And there we go. So now we're going to wait for our devices to connect, and you can see all of our devices are there, including our device IDs, which these are going to be very important for diving into logs and the API if you need to jump in there. Refresh this real quick. So we have our devices connecting. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for this to finish up here. There we go. So if we close this out, we're going to want to head back over to all devices, and we're going to want to change the device permissions, because right now our Home Assistant can only see what it's doing. So if we click change here and then OK, it might take a couple times. I've noticed that. So just make sure you get all of these to eventually say that it's controllable, just like that. So once they all say controllable, we're gonna move on to the next step. Let's refresh the page here. And there we go. So now we have permissions to control the devices through the API, which is great. And now what we're going to do is go back over to Home Assistant and link up our developer account with the local Home Assistant integration. And to do that, we're going to go Devices and Services and go to Add Integration. And we are going to add the LocalTuya one, the custom integration that we added. Here, we're going to set up our API account. So select the same data center that you selected previously, and we're going to grab a couple things. I'm just going to grab a little notepad here so I don't have to jump back and forth so much. We want our client ID, our secret, and our user ID. So to get the first two things, we're going to head over here to Overview. And then right here under Access Client ID, that is the first variable that we want. Drop that in. And then right here, the client secret, just give that a copy. I'm going to drop it in there. And then finally, the ID, or the, what does it say? The user ID, it's not your email or anything like that. You're going to want to go back to devices, give that a second, and then go to link app account, and the UID right next to your app account is what you're going to want. So let's paste that on in, and then head over to Home Assistant, and I'm just going to drop all these in. And there we go. So username, LocalTuya, all looks good. You can technically do this without the cloud API, but it just is going to work better if you at least start the process with this. So let's go ahead and click on submit. And we can see it was a success. So if we close this out, now if we go over here under devices and services, we will see the integration. So from there, we could go ahead and add our Tuya devices into Home Assistant. And to do that, and to do any configuration changes or anything like that, you're going to want to open up the integration and click this configure button. So if I click on that, you can add a new device or manage your cloud API account. So that's where you change those credentials that we just added. So I'm going to click add device, and we can see I have all three of them showing up. If they don't show up and you did your cloud credentials and they're on your local network, you technically could configure it manually. Configuring them manually does not work that well if it cannot auto-discover it. You need to get auto-discovery to work. In most cases, you can try, which I will give you some tips if you do need to configure it manually. But let's go ahead and configure the lights that you could kind of see behind me first. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And here it's going to have our device name, our IP address. It's going to automatically pull our device ID, our local key, and the protocol version. If you need to get any of this information, first to get the device ID, you just go over to devices, all devices, and the device ID is right here. And then if you need to get the local key, all you need to do is go over to the API Explorer. I believe it might be query device details. So you're going to want to get the ID for the device that you're going to want, drop that in, submit request, and then right here you could see that exact same local key. Additionally, and coming up, one thing you might want to look at is all the various properties of a specific device. And to get that, we're going to go to, I think it's device control, and then query properties. And you just drop in the device ID that you're looking for. And then here we have all of our properties. So you're going to be looking and playing around with this a lot. You have your switch LED, work mode, brightness values, and so on and so forth. Color, temp, countdown, music data. Some of this won't work yet. So back over here, all these are optional. If you run into any issues where it can't see the various properties, you may have to manually add the numbers in right here, which those numbers are like 22, 23, and you'd separate those with commas. But if you did everything else, it's auto-discovered it and all that, you should be able to just click on submit. And then from here, I recommend you go to configure the entities manually. You're going to want to select light, at least for these string lights. So let's select that, hit submit. So now the device type is light, and then we can kind of fill out this stuff. So for friendly name, I'm just going to call it the same thing I have in my switch, which is the name of the brand, Acrylic 24 bulbs. Keep this as none. For the brightness, you can see here, it's pretty good at telling us what's going on. So the bright value is what we'd want to select. For color temperature, we'd want to select the temp value. And here, the brightness lower value right now is 29 and upper is 1000. And this is something you can actually check. If we head over here back to devices, click on debug device, make sure it's selected. We're going to go to device debugging. And here we have our actual scales. So bright value, you can see the min is actually 10 and the max is 1000. And for the temp value, the min is 0 and the max is 1000. So you're going to want to kind of match these numbers up. So over here, the brightness lower value is 10. Color mode, aka work mode, you can see we have work mode right there. Leave this scene thing how it is. And then for color, we're going to go ahead and go 24 color data. And then I'm not going to play around with this right now. I haven't really tested it, but it's temperature in K instead of a value. So I'm just going to leave that as is for now. And then right here for these lights specifically, we're going to want to select scene, which is the linear light scene with this big raw string value, which is annoying, but it's what it is. And I'm not going to put in the scene values now because I just want to make sure it works first. I'm going to keep music mode disabled because I haven't tested it, nor am I probably going to want to use it. So let's hit submit. And then we pick the entity. It is not a switch, it is a light. So we select light, and there's no other entities that we need to set up, at least that I know of for now, for what I'm currently doing. So I'm going to hit submit, and it's saved. So now if I head over to the device here, you can see it right there. If I turn it off, it goes off. If I turn it on, it goes on. That alone is a fantastic sign. And if I go ahead and pick a color, look at that. Let's see if color temperature works. Let's go right here, make it warmer. Okay, so it works with just the default configuration there. So that's good. Now we want scenes. Scenes, it took me a little bit to figure out. In the app itself, we have all these different scenes that we could do, which is cool. Or you could make your own, of course, which I'm actually going to show you how to kind of make your own if you want to and add it into Home Assistant. Unfortunately, at the moment, you're going to have to use the app because that big raw string that represents the value of how to handle the scene, I don't know how to decode that. If you know, if you're smarter than me when it comes to this specific type of RGB programming and technology, please go to my GitHub. help me out. Down here, you can see I have a little wish list of things that would be super cool, but that's me being hopeful. Which, I mean, while we're here, this right here, this is my specific kind of section for scenes. I've only added the scenes for this light that's behind me. I'll go ahead and update this, add more. It's probably going to be a pretty big chunk of code, so I'll probably put this in a separate file and just link to it. But right here, these are scene variables. So we have Christmas, Christmas Eve, Father's Day, Flower Harbor, Football Day, Forest, Halloween, so on and so forth. If I go ahead, give this a copy, head back over to Home Assistant, and we are going to want to reconfigure this device. So if I go back to the LocalTuya integration, go to configure an existing device. We're going to pick the only one that we've set up so far. Click on submit. Now here, we're just going to want to leave everything the same. Let's click submit. And then down here, this is where we're going to have some fun. Optional scene values. So if we drop this in here, boop, it should allow us to change the scene. So if I hit submit, save successfully. It looks like it's working. It's working. Halloween. Something that's different. Flower Day. Or Flower Harbor. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. Forest. Ooh. Okay, so copy and pasting my stuff is cool, but maybe you want to add your own DYI one. To do this and to get the actual string, the raw string value for the scene, I'll show you an example with one of their pre-existing ones that I don't have in here. So we're going to want to head over to the logs, pick the right one, go to device logs here. This is where we're going to see, we could see that we have an event detail, colorful scene, and the string right here. So this was at 1430. If I go in the app, and then let's say I go to mood, and let's enable Dreamland. Actually, I want one a little more lively. What is Planet Journey? There we go, just kind of switches. So now, if I go over here, and let's just switch it to a different device, go back to this one, and then go to device logs so it refreshes. Oh, let's just refresh the whole page then. Boop, boop, there it is. So colorful scene report, this is the last one. So let's go ahead and give this a copy. And then all we would do is head back over to our LocalTuya page here, go to configure, go through the same thing. So reconfigure existing device, select it, submit it, go down here, and we're going to want to add a new variable. So the string, and then we're going to name it. This is Planet Journey. Submit, finish. And now if I go back to the device here, open it up, we should see Planet Journey right there. So it's currently on Planet Journey. You see what it looks like. It's switching between like a blue and a purple. If I jump back to, let's say, Halloween, to like the red, and jump back to Planet Journey, hey, it's exactly perfect. I love it. And the process is basically the same for creating your own scenes. So I'd go over here to the kind of like the DYI thing. Let's say I want to make like an Independence Day theme. I would just go, let's select a color. I'm going to go red, go to single, and I'm just going to kind of alternate between blue and white. There we go, red, white, and blue. I saved it under the name July 4. So I'm going to enable a different scene real quick and then enable the July 4 one. Head back over to our debug page here and give it a refresh. And then under logs for this device, here is our colorful scene. Give that a copy, and then just kind of follow the same process where we go in here, paste in the value, and I'm going to call it July 4. Space this out, hit submit, finish. And now if I go to my device here, I should have the July 4. So if I switched it to like this thing, and then I switch it back to July 4, hey, I love it. So overall, I am very happy with these lights, even though it took me a long time to figure it out because there's different protocols, guides are out of date. It seems so simple, but the process to making it simple was difficult. If you're interested in purchasing these, I will link them down below. Obviously, they sent them to me. They didn't pay me, but there's bias there. If you do want to buy them, you can check out my Amazon affiliate link down below. And again, I will throw everything I figure out and learn about them in my GitHub Home Lab repository. So I'll have a direct link to the specific page down below if you're interested in checking that out. And with all that, I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.